Welcome,
back,
everybody.
baby.
We are back, and we made it 2 weeks in a row. Look at that. Super excited to be here. I'm Tyler Scott. We got joined by Jordan Patrick and Michael Sean, and we are the Fantasy Fools podcast, and that is Fools with a Z.
This is Fools Nation, boys. Welcome.
Yeah, if you think about it, though,
Fantasy
we're all
Fools
fools, dude. No, I like my T-shirt. I got the Detroit Lions on.
Representing.
We're gonna have representing the Detroit Lions. We're going
I thought
straight
we were
up
going
to
to
the
be
Super Bowl.
repping LD Designs, our famous sponsor.
Oh, our sponsor's broke, bro.
Born in
Dude, our
Jersey, moved to
sponsors,
Florida, now lives in Virginia, but a Detroit fan.
Yep. It makes a lot of sense. Yes,
Always
it does.
has.
Don't think about it too hard, though.
No,
I mean, what was your first email? Confused kid?
92. Thanks. Now everyone has my contact.
At least you know what year you were born. Okay. Confused kid.
I never had any doubt. Oh man. Are you guys? I can't wait. This weekend we got Wild Card
so
Weekend.
excited. I want to watch
so
it.
excited. The drama. The drama that's going to come up this week is going to be incredible.
I know.
The
Do you see the
memes.
matchups?
The matchups are insane.
We got we got so many grudge matches. You got Tyreek Hill going against his home team, the Chiefs. You've got the Rams Lions, which is insane
Awesome
to think
matchup.
Stafford and
Awesome.
Jared Goff.
Yeah.
Stafford.
It's wild. It is
Then
wild.
you're forgetting Mike McCarthy versus the Packers.
Yeah.
Mike McCarthy.
Well, that's
it
right.
literally doesn't end.
Plus,
No.
the
I've been
Cowboys
seeing all the
Packers
memes
they
online.
have a history of meeting in the playoffs.
Yeah. It's absolutely wild, the matchups. We got a rookie quarterback in CJ Stroud versus the probably oldest quarterback in the league right now with Joe Flacco. I mean,
And then
it's
Deshaun Watson grudge.
I know. It's absolute. Oh, yeah. I forgot about the Deshaun Watson grudge.
Mhm.
That's
The only matchup really missing some sort of grudge is Bills Steelers.
Yeah.
Every other
it's-
matchup has like something that makes it a dramatic showdown.
It's crazy. I mean, absolutely
The
wild.
NFL is scripted. Like
I've been seeing that all over Instagram.
almost as bad as
literally everywhere.
WWE. We all know it, guys.
Yeah. We know what you're doing, Roger Goodell. We see you.
It's been all over
And you're
Instagram.
awful
I've seen all of
refs.
it.
We see you. I still haven't gotten over that Lions-Cowboys matchup. Still not happy.
Get over it.
I
Oh
see
my
you,
God.
Roger. I see you. We're on a first-name basis now, buddy.
He's gonna
Get it wrong, Roger.
He's gonna,
You have a restraining order sent in the mail tomorrow.
it's gonna be
Hey, at
titled
least you had
Confused
his
Kid.
signature. Guys, I
It's
got
gonna be
Roger
titled
Goodell's
Confused
autograph.
Kid. That's what it's gonna be.
Yeah.
You
Sir,
said
you can't.
92.
You can't
Let me
stay
explain
within.
why you're wrong about the Lions game.
Sir, you have to stay 1,000 miles away. Thank you.
Not like you've ever been,
Not even
anywhere
close.
near Roger Goodell.
No, not even a little bit. Nope. But no, super stoked for these matchups. Super excited. It's bittersweet that we're in playoff football right now because that means that we are knocking on the end's door, which is probably one of the worst times of the year is after the Super Bowl. But this is going to be I don't know about you guys, but I feel like every team right now contending is just a powerhouse team, and I could honestly see anybody taking home the trophy this year. Just the matchups and the teams that made it this year. Like, last year there were teams that were just way better than others. This year, I can't. The only maybe the Ravens, 49ers. Excuse me. That's really the only two
That are favorites. I would agree.
that are just like powerhouse. Like I don't see a clear winner out of anyone in this playoff contention right now. Like I don't see a clear winner. I'm not confident.
I agree with you. Like I have who I think's going to win. I'm
Right.
not confident in it. I think, like I told you guys before, I think it's 49ers, Ravens, right beneath them, and then everybody else is in the mix.
But very close.
Everybody's
I agree.
close.
I think there might be a step after those two, but I think overall there's plenty of teams that can wait. That can
There's
run
only
away with
3
this.
tiers.
I think you look. Yeah,
And it's like
I
a
really-
1A,
I'm looking at
1B,
the
and then
teams here.
everybody else.
I'd say here, look at the teams that are actually still available, and who do you think is the clear? Hey, you guys are lucky to be here. There's really not many of those teams.
No.
I mean, I'd
Maybe
say,
the Bucks.
The
The
Bucks.
I'd say more
Okay,
the
the Bucks.
Pittsburgh probably.
Pittsburgh,
probably
maybe
number
two.
one.
Bucks didn't
And,
have a
like-
good week 18, and
Right.
if they'd lost, the Saints take their place in the playoffs.
Right.
Yeah,
But to your point, there's no clear person running away with it. Even the Steelers, like with Mason Rudolph, they actually look like a team. The Bucks have pulled out these crazy victories. The Eagles just lost to the Giants. Like there's so much possibility. But I'm with you, Mike. I feel like there's maybe 2 tiers right now, and that's elite and almost elite. I mean,
elite and it's playoffs.
That's playoff football right there.
I know.
And we are here. We are back. We get to see the postseason.
Every game
it's going to be great.
Yep, can't wait. But anyway, let's get started on our episode 8 today. We are gonna go through our Week 18 trifecta. We're heading into our wild card weekend, and we're gonna end this episode and start the Duel of the Fools, the postseason edition, where we're actually gonna calculate their fantasy points and determine who would actually win. We love this segment, so we're gonna keep it there. But just super excited.
I need another couple of
this.
weeks just to overtake Tyler. I had a couple bad ones, but
yeah,
bringing my way back.
I'm in a commanding week 1 league. No, we're all in it.
I didn't do it a couple weeks, but I'm not out of it. Okay.
We'll dive into that a little bit later, but let's start with our week 18 trifecta, starting with our surprise of the week. And I got to tell you, I am pretty darn surprised at this player, and that's Tajay Spears. Actually, if I was looking at it, we have both of those running backs, Derrick Henry and Tajay Spears, who both blew up against the Jacksonville Jaguars and upset. They allowed the Texans and the Steelers into the playoffs with that total upset. But Tajay Spears, he is my surprise of the week. He just had a killer game. You knew he was going to do that. His rush game, he had three attempts for 25 yards and a touchdown. But his receiving game is where he saw also some of his points with three receptions for 41 yards and another touchdown. I mean, I don't think they utilized him like we expected from last week's episode, but you're definitely seeing more of the passing volume go into his hands than Derrick Henry's. But definitely was surprised with his overall performance with the 2 touchdowns.
Oh, absolutely. I thought he did absolutely fantastic. And what blew my mind is that he's been actually, if you want to go by snap count, he's been the lead back for most of this season behind the Tennessee offense. And he actually only had 31% of the snaps on Week 18.
Yeah.
He made a lot of use out of that. I mean, 3 carries for 25 yards, 2 touchdowns, like you said, a few receptions. Did fantastic. And guess what? I do believe Tajay Spears, he's going to be a hell of a guy to target in next year's draft.
Agreed.
All right, so I'm going to also go and stay in the running back position because I thought they had a lot of interesting running backs this week. I really think so.
Yeah.
I thought the one who I was most surprised at and very pleasantly surprised, by the way. Very pleasantly surprised. Keandre Miller for the Saints was a guy who came in, had a lot of hype. People liked what they saw in the preseason, but he had a lot of injuries. He was hurt basically all year. Got hurt with an ankle injury going into Week 10 and hasn't played since. He came in, stepped in on 36% of the snaps, 13 carries for 73 yards. That's an average of 5.62 yards per carry and a touchdown. Actually, he looked solid. 17 points in a PPR format, and I think he might be another guy. If Alvin Kamara next year, see where he's at, but Keandre Miller might be stepping on his toes here.
I think I liked how Alvin Kamara looked this season. I mean, he came back hard.
He couldn't rush though. He was a pass catcher.
Yeah, and I get that. He just looked for 28 years old. He still ended the season as RB11, having missed 4 weeks. I mean, I'm very excited to see what Alvin Kamara does next year. But yes, you're right. I think Keandre Miller is definitely going to be a guy that you're going to want to target and look to as we're looking forward into next year's draft.
All right. Well, for my surprise, I chose Derek Carr. I think I went into the week expecting him to have a good game because they were right on the cusp of making the playoffs if the Bucs somehow lost. But, I didn't expect him to go out and be QB number 1. He got 35.16 fantasy points. He's 15th on the season. His average is 17.12. I just didn't expect him to come out and just ball out like that. Good way for him to end the season, too, with the Saints kind of being like, well, what do we want to do moving forward? So
he made that job real tough to predict next year because he was not doing what they needed him to do all of the beginning of the season. And pretty much week 14, 4 touchdowns. Week 14, he really ended up breaking out, right?
Yeah, week 14, because 12 and 13, he had 10 points. Then, 14 on, he had 2+ touchdowns in each game. Last week had 4.
Well, and he cut down the interceptions.
Yeah.
He cut down the interceptions, too.
He did.
I mean, he looked good.
Yeah, I agree.
Talk about a second half, like making a strong play to come back next season.
You know why? Because they finally started using Chris Olave, and that basically killed me the entire fantasy season. But good for you, Derek Carr. So I might draft him next year. Can't wait. My moving into consistent picks. So my week 18 consistent pick. I absolutely love this guy. I wish I picked him up in the draft, and I was targeting him, but I was having second thoughts given the nature of the team. And that person is Rachaad White. I mean, this guy has just been absolutely going off this season. He's the number 4 running back on the season right now. Actually, just for the regular season, so he ended number 4 and 26 overall. Now, saying that with an asterisk, last week he did have a down week against the Saints. But the entire season, this guy he's put up over 15 fantasy points every week since week 7 until 17. I mean, this is that fantasy guy you wanted during those crucial weeks. Absolutely killed it this season. And I think the biggest surprise is how well the Bucs are doing in general, making it into that division leader. So he's just been your stable guy. I mean, he's done really well, and you probably got him for a good price too during the draft.
I mean, yeah, Rachaad White, he was a workhorse who basically came out, and you knew he was going to be a bell cow. You knew he was going to end up getting all of the work. But I always get hesitant with some of those guys. I'll be honest with you, like a Derrick Henry, because you draft them and they put up all these points because they see so much volume. But when they see so much volume, they get a lot of wear and tear on their bodies. But he made it the entire season. I got to give him a lot of credit. I mean, and he, like you said, came out as the number 4 running back on the season. So he was absolutely fantastic for fantasy. I think he will be fantastic going forward because, again, who else are they going to go to?
Yeah. Didn't miss a single game.
Honestly, want to know another guy who's like that? Josh
Tell
Jacobs.
us, Mike.
Josh Jacobs is just like that. But you know what? Josh Jacobs wasn't in this past week. So guess what? Zamir White. He's my consistent pick. And it's because Josh Jacobs still hasn't been in. And whether you know this or not, Zamir White is not a household name. But he's been the backup running back to Josh Jacobs for the past 4 weeks. And with Josh Jacobs being out, it's been his time to shine. And what has he done with that? He's turned all that time into this past week was 25 carries for 112 yards. That's 4.48 yards per carry. And weeks 15 through 18, if you had him in the playoffs, he was the running back 12, 17, 16, and 20. This guy who is a no-name has been a starting running back just because he's been seeing all of the work, just like Josh Jacobs does.
Yeah,
And
I think I love this pick because he's a young guy. He's 24 years old. This is only his second season, and he could be a guy to look at, especially with Josh Jacobs' contract. I believe it's up this season, and he's going out.
He was franchise tagged.
Was he franchise tag? I thought he got a contract like Saquon Barkley.
Saquon Barkley did get a contract. Josh Jacobs, I believe, I thought
it was
he actually signed a 1-year contract too.
Yeah, I
thought he signed a 1-year contract. I didn't think he signed the franchise tag. But either way, no matter what, it was 1 year.
Yeah,
it was a 1-year contract.
Right, and either way, I think this is good. A good guy to look forward to because if they don't renew their contract or recontract Josh Jacobs, Zamir White's going to be that guy.
I picked up Zamir White in both of my dynasty leagues before the end of the season because I'm expecting Josh Jacobs to move on if they allow. And if he does, he's the guy.
Keep him in your minds as we looking forward to next year's draft for sure.
Are you picking Zamir White or Tajee Spears next year in the draft?
Tajay Spears. Tajay Spears is going to be the run. He's going to be the starting. He's going to be the starting running back.
Right now, that's who I'm picking. If things change and Josh doesn't get resigned, it's a harder question.
That's what I mean. No Josh Jacobs, no Derrick Henry on those teams. Who you picking?
I'm still saying Tajay Spears because I think he looks more explosive. Zamir White is... So one thing to know about Zamir White, he has torn both of his ACLs.
Yeah. And White is a more involved in that passing game, which you want from a fantasy perspective.
White is or Spears?
White
Spears.
is. That's what I meant. Sorry, Spears. I was
yes,
looking at White.
That's what I thought.
Okay. Well, going on to my consistent on the season, probably one of the best receivers. He had the highest average on the season, not the most amount of points. He did miss a game. Tyreek Hill. He did put up 17.7 fantasy points this week. His average is 19.82. I'd say that's pretty freaking consistent.
Yeah.
So he's, someone else who I expect to just go off in the playoffs.
Yeah. I mean,
he's not slowing down.
What? I mean, you think literally the best wide receiver in the game is going to keep doing well?
No, I mean, I'm still picking him next year. In the draft, he's not losing any steam, it seems like. And he's not aging
even going into his 30s. Yeah, you're right. Yeah. He's still maintaining everything, which I got to give him a lot of credit. He's disproving a lot of models.
Fantasy wise, he's still high on my draft board, regardless of how he's getting a little older. Until he starts to show some real signs of aging, he's still the best in the game right now, fantasy wise.
Yeah, he was number 2 overall, but. Well, going into a wide receiver who was not number 2 overall, and I would say he was not even close, my disappointment of the week, and it should be consider this more of a disappointment of the year.
I would say the year.
Because it is.
Mad at this guy all season.
How do you not be? And that's Jahan Dotson.
You don't even know his name because he's just been that irrelevant.
Yeah, he's done nothing this entire 2 games where he actually did something, and the rest of the year he's done absolutely nothing. He's ranked 56 on the year, and he is supposed to be their new-time wide receiver. He's supposed to be the big guy. I mean, Jahan Dotson, he was a big name going into last year's draft, and I mean, just absolutely want to bash your skull against the wall kind of guy this season.
I forget he was a first or second round pick in the NFL draft. I'm trying to remember which, but I think it was a first. And they really thought highly of him. He was at least a second. I'll say that they thought really
he was
highly
first
of him.
round. First round.
I mean,
in the 2022.
Amazing talent out of Penn State, and he just has not been showing up. And I mean, that being said, they had Sam Howell, who's throwing the ball everywhere to both teams. But
and this is our brethren. He's from New Jersey. I expect more.
Oh, I did not know that, but now I am. Now I'm going to root for him more.
Oh, disappointed.
Honestly, I'm with you, Ty. I was disappointed in Dotson too. I really thought he would be taking off. But you know what? He's at least safe for next year, huh?
Everyone expected him to.
Everybody expected him to, but no one, I guess, expected this. But he's not the only. He's at least got another year to prove it, right? That's the one thing Dotson has. Dotson at least has that to go for him, unlike my disappointment of the week. My disappointment of the week is not guaranteed next year. He's actually played for a contract the past few weeks, and my guy is Justin Fields. Justin Fields right now, he really needed to have a good week. He has against Green Bay Packers, a arch nemesis rival. He had the opportunity to stop them from getting into the postseason with a win, and they just did not produce. In fantasy points, he literally only had 5. He had the lowest number of rushing yards literally since week 4.
Mike, that's what you always tell me makes him a good fantasy QB. His rushing yards.
Absolutely, his rushing yards. I mean, by rushing so much, he ends up always having a floor of 4 or 5 points. So he only had 27 yards on 8 carries. Real disappointment on the through the air, no touchdowns. Again, I don't know what you do if you're the Browns. I mean the
Bears.
The Bears.
Bears.
What do you do for number 1 pick?
The Bears.
Do you guys end up taking a QB or not, or do you guys roll with Fields?
It's tough.
This will be a conversation for us later in the offseason. I guarantee that.
It really comes down to, is Caleb Williams just the best QB in this year's draft class, Or is
Drake
Caleb
May.
Williams a potentially generational talent? I think we
but
can
you
all
also-
agree Justin Fields, he might be a good QB. He might go on to be very good. I don't think he's a generational talent.
I also, you got to remember too, a lot of teams need a quarterback now. You know, so, and not like first team that comes to mind is the Vikings. You know, I think Fields could be a great asset to the Vikings, if I'm honest.
To be honest with you, that's actually a really good pick, Ty, because if you get a
He's like a better Joshua Dobbs.
if you get a young, cheap quarterback to man all of the offense and all of the weapons that the Vikings have, that's a dangerous spot. So I could actually see the Vikings making a play.
Speaking of young, cheap quarterbacks, let's go to my disappointment of the week.
It's not that young or cheap, is he?
I mean, he was cheap when the Bucks picked him up. Baker Mayfield, I mean, he was a free agent. He wasn't doing good with the Panthers. He had one great Thursday night game when he literally walked off a plane and then won an NFL game, which was awesome. But yeah, Baker Mayfield, man, he disappointed me big time this week. I expected him to show up, knowing that it was the Panthers, not a tough opponent, winning in. But seriously, you can't end week 18 right before playoffs putting up 9 points as an offense and expect to go in and compete against the team that was in the Super Bowl last year. Baker, come on. Man, I was disappointed for sure. 137 yards is just not going to do it, Baker.
Agreed.
I would agree. He is also a free agent, I see. They are thinking of basically re-upping him, but we'll see.
Quarterbacks right now. After the Browns fall out, then Panthers were like, we're moving on. He goes to LA to end his season, and then they picked him up on a 1-year contract. I really think the Bucks sign him on a cheap contract again.
I do too.
I
hope they do. I hope they do.
He earned it.
Yeah, I agree.
He made it to the playoffs with them in his first year. He's clicking with Mike Evans. Mike Evans had his 7,000-yard season in a row.
Yep. Absolutely killing it. But awesome. Well, that was week 18.
I think that wraps up our Duel of Fools, huh?
No, that wraps up
the trifecta.
Gosh, Mike, get some ears, bro. So, Mike, if you can hear me, we're going to move on to honorable mentions.
Mentions.
You sound like Dory from Finding Nemo.
Escape.
Now we're going to go on to honorable mentions.
I'm going to escape this moment and go into honorable mentions. How's that? So
we're going to escape it.
Escape, yes. Well, going on to that spot, I want to go through some other things that happened that were of note for week 18. And one, did you guys see Carson Wentz playing for the Rams? I mean, he actually did pretty damn well.
I didn't see it till after, but man, yeah, I saw he looked pretty good.
He did pretty damn well. I mean, I'm pretty sure he rushed 17 times? 17 times Carson Wentz rushed the ball.
Have they found Stafford's successor?
Here.
No.
Fact, Carson Wentz rushed the ball more than Travis Etienne, Joe Mixon, and Ezekiel Elliott last week.
He still sucks.
I mean, that's just
lies.
Wild. Lies. That's just wild. But anyway, I thought that was really fun.
You sit on a throne of lies.
You sit on a throne of lies.
Other things of note, the number one overall pick last week, of course, Bryce Young I'm talking about. He ended up disappointing yet again. So it was Carolina versus Tampa. And how many points did Carolina put up, guys? Do you happen to remember this?
0.
Whopping 0.
How funny is it? I really think my disappointment was also a formal number one pick who went on to go on to be a disappointment.
Yup.
Well, debatable if he was
both played each other this past week.
They both played like shit.
Got a touchdown.
Like shit.
It was awful. But you know what? I think Carolina has some answering to do for the future, but I mean they're obviously not moving on from Bryce Young. But he's not looking great.
Which team surprisingly played better than both of them, Mike?
A lot. Pick a team on the NFL.
I know who you're going for.
Thank you, Tyler.
That was an okay segue into the next.
That was a great. Ollie, you did it. Mike, we're doing a podcast.
Yeah, Mike, take the bait, bro.
I'm kidding.
The Giants did blindside the Eagles. That is true. The Giants actually came out, and the Eagles are looking atrocious right now, guys. I'm telling you, this is not looking good going into it.
I almost feel bad.
I think they're going to come back. I'm just saying. I think
Almost,
they're going to come back in week 1. Almost. You almost feel bad. I like that.
I do.
Wanna who doesn't feel bad about this team ever? The next team I had. Dallas Cowboys. No one ever feels bad about the Dallas Cowboys. But you know what? They did take care of business last week. They did secure that number 2 spot, and they pretty much secured, in most cases, home field advantage. So I guess good for them.
They're going to lose in the first round.
Yep.
Half the NFL fans.
But they could do it at home.
Man. Yeah, now they get to do it at home.
Yeah, I know. They get to do it at home. We all, at this time of the year, that's how the nation unites. There's all one thing that we can expect. The Cowboys will choke in round 1 of the playoffs.
We should put money on that. We get FanDuel as a sponsor here. We need to actually put we need to get money in here.
We get our own betting line for the Dallas Cowboys to choke? No, because the odds would be awful.
Yeah, they could play the Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, it'd be round Cardinals versus Cowboys, and everyone would put money on the Cardinals.
Oh, yeah, no, we're talking rough times, boys.
The Cowboys could have the automatic bye being the conference champions, and they'd still lose in the first round.
Yeah.
I mean, they find a way.
Yeah.
You know what? And I'm excited to see it. I'm also excited to see CJ Stroud. Stroud going into the postseason is going to be fantastic. But you know what? He looked fantastic in Week 18. Him and Nico Collins right off the bat. First play, by the way. First play on the, 75 yards. Literally, Nico Collins, he just ran straight. Literally just ran straight. You guys see that play?
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, it was wild.
Talk about another guy who I think we're all obviously targeting him in the draft next year. Another young guy.
Yep.
So CJ
Nico
Stroud?
Collins. Oh, both of them. Really.
Both of them.
Skill players.
Both of them.
You know, because we were talking about Spears, we were talking about Samir White. You know, Nico Collins, he's probably going first 2 rounds next year.
No, I don't think so. You think? Over Tank Dell?
Depends on. No, I would take Nico. Maybe not first rounds. You're right.
He's going to be
maybe
4.
Third.
He's going to be like around 4,
Third or fourth.
Around 4, around 5, to be honest, because he's going to be the wide receiver 2 in there. And honestly, I think he's going to be your value pickup that you get later in the draft.
You let me take him in round 3, and I'll call it a steal.
Gladly, I'll gladly let you take him in round 3. I'll take somebody better, but I want one more point here, one more honorable mention, and this one's more sadness than anything else. I happen to see Justin Jefferson and Bijan Robinson go absolutely off last week. Did you guys see that? It was just kind of what everybody expected their seasons to be. And Justin Jefferson last week, 12 receptions, 192 yards and a touchdown for 36 fantasy points. Bijan Robinson, 28 yards on the ground, 7 receptions for another 103 on in the air, and a touchdown in receiving. This is what everybody thought they were drafting, and they just didn't get it.
I really thought Vikings were going to have a better season.
Yeah.
Like, not even just Justin Jefferson. I thought Vikings were going to be a quietly sneaky team.
If they had Cousins, they would have been much better.
Yeah.
And then Jefferson on there, yeah, you're right, would have been a whole different animal. But guess what? That's why we're talking about that QB position being so valuable, right? I think that QB position is going to be very valuable and very relevant for fantasy next year.
All right.
Well.
You don't.
All right.
You don't agree? Excuse me. How do you not agree with that?
I think you put too much emphasis on quarterbacks in the first round. My opinion. We'll talk about it more in a later segment.
I'm not saying draft him in the first round. I'm saying it's important who goes in the quarterback position.
Yeah. Okay. Well, moving on. Jordan, take us through our wild card weekend preview. Take us to the preview.
All right, wild card weekend.
Don't be so demanding.
So, first game, as the NFL has scripted it up, Roger wrote up a good one. Browns versus Texans, the Deshaun Watson grudge match. Tyler, who you got?
I'm picking the Browns. I think this is going to be a super close game, but I just think the Browns defense has continued to be dominant this season. And the Texans, I feel like they've struggled against good defenses. And just to check some of the stats here, the Houston Texans, you look at some of their better matchups defense-wise. The New York Jets, they absolutely got killed.
That one didn't look good.
Yeah, they had some trouble against the Saints and against Baltimore, and I think Cleveland's got a great defense. So I'm going the Browns, but very close. Mike?
I want to agree, and I feel like I have to, but I love the Texans. I love what they're building. I think they actually have a solid lineup up and down. But I do have to say, I think the Browns are just ready right now. They have Joe Flacco at the helm, who's looked fantastic since he stepped in, and the defense is top tier. And they still have their weapons. I don't see how the Browns don't take this away. I think this Texans Cinderella story is going to be over.
Yeah, I think this one was pretty easy for me as well. With the way that you guys touched on it, Tyler talked about the defense. They've been playing great all season. Offense, all their weapons are going to be healthy this week, and Joe Flacco's playing some of the best football he's ever played. I think what's important to note about this matchup, while Browns I do think are going to win, how CJ Stroud plays in a playoff game will kind of foreshadow, I think, the rest of his career. Whether or not he's going to be very good or if he's going to go on to be great.
That's a good point. I'm with you.
For example, Tony Romo, great regular season quarterback. I don't like the Cowboys, but Tony Romo, fantastic regular season quarterback. Didn't do well in the playoffs. But moving on to the next game, we're going with Dolphins versus Chiefs. Mike, who you got this game?
This is another Roger Goodell Supreme.
Script it up, Roger.
Fantastic.
Script it up, Roger.
Tyreek versus his team.
How Tyreek is going against his old team is amazing. And it's like, you know what?
Yeah.
There was a lot of drama with him leaving too, because he apparently wanted to stay. Like, he did want to stay, but he ended up just not getting the money. And I guess he ended up getting obviously maybe a little bit.
And the Chiefs just did so bad without him. They only won a Super Bowl.
Yeah, it is crazy. But you know what?
Yeah.
Guess what? I bet they really wish they had him back now, because they have no real receivers. I mean, like, Rashee Rice is their best one right now, and he's a rookie.
Yeah.
Like, you can't put too much on him right now.
And he's mad about it. Tyreek still tweets like shade at the Chiefs. And it's like, all right, bro, like, move on. You left.
I know, you got to move on.
And how much shade can you talk? They still won without you.
Yeah, you're right. But you know what? I do think Tyreek is going to come out with the laugh in the end.
You got Dolphins.
I think the Dolphins are going to take the Chiefs. I do.
I am on the other side. I think playoff Mahomes, as much as I hate to admit it, I think playoff Mahomes is going to overtake that Dolphins team. I think Travis Kelce is going to be huge. I think Mahomes is going to be huge. And I think Isaiah Pacheco is going to be huge. So I'm going with the Chiefs.
I am going with Tyler on this one. The Chiefs. They're going to be playing in possibly like below freezing weather. And, Kansas City players are ready for that. Miami players, besides Tyreek Hill, who did play there for quite a few years, they're not fucking ready for that. So I honestly think the Chiefs are going to be ready for the cold weather. They're going to have a home field advantage in that sense. Mahomes going to come alive because it's playoffs. Travis Kelce's going to give it his all. It's the playoffs. And I think that they're going to squeak out a win. I don't think it's going to be easy.
You guys just don't invest properly. You got to always buy something before when it's going down and then wait for the turn. That's what you got to do. That's what I'm doing with the Dolphins, baby. They're going to turn it around this week. They're going to show the Chiefs a whole new fin.
You're wrong.
Whole new world.
Now moving on to this place I never knew. All right, so Steelers versus Bills. All right, it's the only game that it's basically a game that was like, I don't know how to fit these guys in the grudge matches. So Roger was like, let's have them play each other. Everyone else in the script goes well. So, but who do I think is going to win this game? I think the Bills. Part of it, really the deciding factor for me was that T.J. Watt hurt his MCL. He's leading the season on sacks. Josh Allen's going to come alive. He's a monster of a person. between James Cook bringing in, I believe they brought in playoff Lenny, and Josh Allen.
They did.
Now, the three of them, plus no TJ Watt on the Steelers defense, I think Josh Allen's going to cook. I think the Bills are going to, everything's going right for the Bills in this moment. They're going to come in and take care of business.
I don't even think it's a question here, to be honest with you. I think with the loss of TJ Watt, Pittsburgh is they're known for their defense, and I think it's just going to be a lost cause.
Who's even going to be the quarterback? Mason Rudolph? He was almost my Week 18 disappointment.
I mean, Mason Rudolph is a slinger, though. He can throw the ball a lot, and he likes to throw the ball deep. But, I mean, I still just don't think that the Bills are going to have any possible way of losing this game. They're going to just run the ball right through, and if that doesn't work, they have Stephon Diggs to throw to. They have Gabe the Babe if they want to try and risk it. But I just don't see how Josh Allen loses this game.
Yeah, I think I chose the Steelers more so because I want them to make that upset than I do them to. I actually think they're going to win. I do think there's some redeeming qualities here, and that's Najee Harris, Mike Tomlin. Yeah, I mean, their running back core has continued. Now Najee is injured, so that's something that you'd have to watch. As if you're a Pittsburgh fan, but with Jalen Moore and Najee Harris healthy, and George Pickens and Deontay Johnson showing some stuff with Mason Rudolph, I hate that I'm picking them because I know I'm wrong, but I want them to win. So going with the Steelers.
I feel like I'm kind of the same way with the Dolphins, but you know what? I believe it.
All right, next game we're going with Packers versus Cowboys. Tyler, who you got?
This one to me seemed the most obvious. I'm going with the Cowboys. CeeDee Lamb's unstoppable. I mean, they just faced the Lions defense 2 weeks ago and they held them, but they still end up running away with the game. Screw you, Allen. So I'm going with Cowboys.
Did they actually win? Did they actually win?
It's debatable, but in the sense of score that was reported to the ESPN and the Google,
physically on the scoreboard, that's kind of what happened.
That completely. I mean, that changes a few things.
Yeah.
All right, that changes a few. First off, if the Lions win that game, they are number 1 overall in the NFC. Also, Eagles are number 1 in the division. Eagles would be playing, who is it? The Packers. Then Cowboys would be playing the Bucks, and Lions would have a bye.
And we wouldn't have all of these narratives.
Exactly my point, Mike. Thanks for bringing it home. Exactly. Where would the grudge matches be?
I see you, Roger.
I see
you.
I have to agree, Ty. I think the Cowboys are going to take this. I think Dak and CD have just combined to be totally the perfect duo right now. I mean, you're talking about they're just next level. And you even have the rest of the offense kind of cooking. Brandon Cooks has kind of come back, right? He's just
a little bit.
Everybody's looking just better. So I just think Dallas is just such a star-studded team. They have such a good defense. They're gonna do well.
I think that the Cowboys are going to have their annual choke of the year. They're going to fall on their faces, and it's going to be super embarrassing because they're going to do it at home in front of their fans. Can we talk about last year when they had that stupid play where Ezekiel Elliott hiked the ball and was basically the entire offensive line while they get shat on in their first round of the playoffs? What is Mike McCarthy thinking? So I don't know. I feel like Mike McCarthy rode the coattails of Aaron Rodgers' MVP season to a Super Bowl the first time, and he's not going to be able to do that in Dallas. Packers are going to win in Dallas.
I would love to see the Packers win, as well as the rest of America. But I do think the Cowboys are still going to take it.
Man, okay, moving on to the next game. We got the next grudge match. Roger Goodell took a look at, Jared Goff, Matt Stafford. We'll give you a chance to prove it to each other. Who's the better one? I mean, Rams right now are winning because they won the Super Bowl, but, Lions could change that this year.
Yeah.
All right. They could. Mike, who you got in this game?
How do you not? I mean, like, I understand by record you got to go Lions, but like, I just think the Rams are such a hot team right now. I mean, Matt Stafford's got this offense
playing
cooking.
real well.
Yeah, right. I mean, they have the offense cooking right now. Yes, they lost their last week, but honestly, take a look at who they've beaten in the last 4 weeks. They've beaten the 49ers. They beat, admittedly, the Giants. Beat the Saints that they're trying to go through, and the Commanders. And they actually had a pretty good game against the Ravens. I just think they're a very hot team going into the playoffs. They have the emergence of Kyren Williams. They have the record-setting Puka Nacua alongside Cooper Kupp. And they have Matt Stafford at the helm, who has proven it and done it before. He has a Super Bowl with them. I think they're going to go through, and I think they're going to actually overtake the Lions, who, quite frankly, have a great offense, but have shown real problems with defense.
I would be remiss. I would be remiss.
I'm literally also saying the Rams. I want to just burn your Lions here.
I have a question real quick, Tyler. What's it like to be the fan of a team in the playoffs?
That's fantastic. Sorry, Jordan.
I've been a Giants fan for too long.
No, I think
Packers made it.
I think it's going to be a tough game. Really, it's going to be It's going to be a rough matchup, I think, and which makes me sad because I really want the Lions to come out really hot and heavy and take the lead. But I think it's going to be a lot closer than I think we all like. But I have to go with my Lions. I just can't. I think it's going to be close, and this is a hard decision. But I'm going with the Lions strictly based off of what I want to happen.
Fair.
Yeah, I get that. I actually do think Lions are the hot team. I think also. You know what? Like, I do kind of feel like Dan Campbell and the Lions are a little pissed off that the refs pulled off that bullshit and they lost that game. Like, I feel like if I'm in that locker room, I feel like, no, we should be number one in the conference right now. It's bullshit. We're not. Let's go dominate this week and prove it. So, like, I feel like the Lions are the team that are on a little bit of fire right now. They got a little rage in them. That locker room's hot. They want to go and take care of business. They're going to get the job done. Round 2 might be different, but I really think Lions take round 1.
This is Sunday night football.
I'm excited for that game for sure.
This is Sunday night football.
That's the game I want to watch.
I am watching this. I'm taking off Monday just to find out. Oh wait, we have off Monday. So I don't even have to take off. But I am using Monday strictly for recovery. Yeah, it's MLK Day, bro.
I don't know if I have off. Maybe you have
I don't have that day off. But anyway, moving on. Sunday Night Football will be a blast. And honestly, I'm looking at this pick. I cannot believe I'm the only one rooting. Not rooting. I'm not rooting. But I can't believe I'm the only one who thinks the Eagles are going to win.
Yeah.
Next game we have the Eagles versus Bucks. I'm
Bucks.
Bucks.
What were you saying?
No, I mean...
I got the Bucks too. I got the Bucks too. I mean, the Eagles have been choking the last 5 games, and the Eagles has one of the worst pass defenses in the league right now. I think the points against them, they have they're number 32 in points against, or the 32 or 31. Like, they're just really, really bad. And Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, who's that other guy? Palmer, I believe it is, from wide receiver. Sorry, 1 second. It's Trey Palmer. He's been really involved. I think the Bucks have a real good shot of pulling the upset.
They have Baker Mayfield,
who was number 10 on the season
because he just stayed healthy.
Well, I mean, that's a skill.
Because he threw it to Mike Evans. But
fair.
Baker Mayfield. Hold on. Baker Mayfield. Let's talk about this. I was on the fence too, but it is not out of the realm of possibility that Baker leads this team to a win. The Eagles declining. Jalen Hurts has been having problems the past few weeks. That defense is not as strong as it was last year. And on top of that, Baker Mayfield's the guy who took the Browns out of the gutter and beat the Steelers in Pittsburgh round 1 of playoffs, divisional rival. 2 years after that team was 3-13, 3-14? 3-13. So Baker has the capability to pull this team. up by his bootstraps.
It's a fair point. I just don't know how we're all going. Yes, the Eagles are absolutely the coldest team in the NFL right now, without a question. But I also think that they've had some injury issues. They've literally been going through, and they sat people at the last half of the Week 18. I mean, they just had nothing really to play for, and they knew they were in the playoffs way early. They were probably one of the first teams clinched. So I don't think that they were really worried, and I think now it's going to come down to Eagles versus Bucks in the playoffs. I think Jalen Hurts is going to lead them the way.
Yeah, we'll see.
Man. And then lastly, we got Super Bowl predictions. Tyler, who you got?
I got 2.
You got 2?
No,
you can't do that.
Cheating.
All right, so my
one of them can be the Lions, I guess.
All right, good. So my first pick is the Lions, just because I have to pick them. But realistically, I think the 49ers are finally going to get that victory that they have been pulling at for the past few years since Jimmy Garoppolo was their quarterback. I mean,
oh my God.
I think they're finally going to get it.
Jordan, who you got?
Yeah. I have the 49ers. I'm with Tyler on this one. Kyle Shanahan has been knocking on the door of a Super Bowl ring. It all started in Atlanta after Tom Brady had that insane comeback when he was offensive coordinator. Then he goes to 49ers. They lose to the Chiefs when he's got Jimmy G. Then last year, Brock Purdy's having a great rookie year. They're on track. And I want to be clear, the only reason they were not in the Super Bowl is because Brock Purdy was their last quarterback standing and his elbow got hurt. They would have beat the Eagles. The Eagles got lucky to be in the Super Bowl.
You have mentioned that on this pod before, so you know what?
I truly believe that. I truly believe that 49ers were on track, and then they kept the magic this year, and CMC is playing the best football he's ever played. Brock Purdy's had an offseason with that team. Everybody's looking healthy right now. Brandon Ayuk, Deebo Samuel, they're cooking.
They have so many weapons. It's not fair.
It's not fair. It's not. That's what I'm telling you. It's the 49ers and everybody else. As much as I believe the Lions should have been, that number. But then again, for all we know, they would have played harder to beat the Rams that last week to go ahead and maintain number 1 spot. We don't know.
I totally agree with you. I think both of you guys have a great pick with the 49ers, and honestly, I really can't fight it. I think the 49ers have at least the best, if not the second best chances of winning it. I am choosing somebody different, though. I think a team that's just up there, just as high, literally right there with them, is the Ravens. The Ravens look so good. They honestly have put together some wins that, they were just statement games. Didn't they beat the Miami Dolphins 56 to 18 or something like that a few weeks back? It was a statement win against the team that is also in the playoffs making a run for it. And I think they just look so good behind the pretty much favorite MVP, Lamar Jackson. So I think it's crazy that we all picked a team that is not playing this week.
Right. Actually, real quick, if you guys had to pick a team, no thoughts about it, just quick off the bat. Who are you picking if you can't pick a number 1 seed?
Callie? Number 1 seed?
Lions.
Mike.
No, I gotta go. Honestly, I think Dallas. No, I'm sorry, Browns.
I almost picked the Browns. Bills. I'm going Bills. Right. I really
Bills
think
are hot right now.
They're hot right now. They're the opposite of the Eagles. Their last 6 games have been on the rise.
Do we want to put that right underneath our picks, guys? As a secondary?
Yes.
We already picked them. All right, fine. We got it in. All right, well, that was our wildcard weekend preview, which is really just the exciting football coming up this weekend. And I know we talked about we're just super excited for all those games. Moving on to our Duel of the Fools. This is our, I think, our favorite segment. Where we decide between the 3 of us, between 2 players, who's going to do better. Last week we had a commanding victory by Jordan Patrick. Yes, rub it in.
Good for him. You got your first win, first dub.
6 right. 6 right out of the. What do we have? 8 choices. So really good job.
I got excited. Almost 8 for 8.
Yeah. Mike had 4 points, and I unfortunately had 2. So my past 3 awesome weeks turned into 1 really bad week. But that being said, we had Aiden O'Connell pulled ahead of Bryce Young. Tajay Spears performed better than Zach Charbonnet. Rashawn Johnson over Jaleem McLaughlin. Bijan Robinson over Rashad White. I think that was a surprise for me, but Jordan, you got that one right. Jaden Reed
I'm sorry, Tyler. A lot of them were surprises for you.
Yeah. Jaden Reed outperformed Jackson Smith and Jigba. Josh Downs better than Garrett Wilson. Jordan Addison over Chris Olave, and Dalton Kincaid over Trey McBride. So quite a number of interesting.
You all doubted me last week. You were like Kincaid.
We did. So total correct.
Doubt you. We had the same answers for most of them.
No, Dalton Kincaid. You both said Trey McBride.
We did. We gave you a lot of shit for that.
You gave me shit for it last week too. You were like, I can't believe you're picking Kincaid.
Well, I mean, to be fair, it wasn't the smart pick at the time either. But it's fine. You won.
It clearly was.
But looking at our full season stats right now, which are from week 14 on, we got I am in the lead with 16 correct matchups. Mike's with 15 in second, and Jordan's 13. Jordan having missed a week, so he is way ahead. Weeks 1, I am in a commanding lead with 3 weeks 1 versus Mike's and Jordan's 1 each. But looking into the wild card weekend, and as I mentioned earlier, this is we're going through wild card weekend matchups this week in our Duel of the Fools, and we will be calculating those fantasy points in order to get those victors. First matchup we have Pat Mahomes versus the Miami Dolphins versus Josh Allen going up against Pittsburgh. I'll start it off. I picked Josh Allen, which it was tough because playoff Pat Mahomes is good, but I think Josh Allen is going to just prove that the Bills are a powerhouse.
I'm going to agree with Tyler. I think we touched on this a little bit, but with TJ Watt out on the Steelers side, Josh Allen going to be able to open up and do what he does best, which is, run or pass on the run.
Yeah.
I think that's a really great pick, guys. I think Josh Allen is really hard to bet against, but I am betting against him. I just don't like the matchup as much. Like you said, TJ Watt is going to be out against Pittsburgh. I think their defense is going to really be tough to run against, or tough to honestly really want to throw against. They're just going to get a lead and run the ball. That's what they've been doing. They've been riding James Cook all season long, and I think Pat Mahomes in the playoffs against Miami, a team that they're going to be looking to just shoot it out, they're going to be shooting it out.
Yeah. Our running back matchup, we've got Devon Achane versus same games actually, Kansas City Chiefs, and James Cook versus the Steelers. I was going to go with Achane, but I am going to change my pick to James Cook.
Then I guess we are all in agreement, right, guys?
Yes, we are.
Oh, man.
And
I guess
that was on the fly. I didn't like it.
This one's
so I
tough.
changed it.
This one's tough because Achane really could go off, but Achane could, do.
But so can Raheem Mostert.
But also, you're same with James Cook. Could really go off, but week 16, some of you felt it in your playoff teams, in your playoff matches, when he scored like 4 points. But
you also felt it as he carried you through all of the playoffs and like last 4 weeks of the season when he had 20 points in each one.
Right,
like
but
James
once I'm
Cook
in,
I
need you to show up. 4 points as my RB2 is not enough.
Yeah.
Got so you in playoffs.
We all picked James Cook for that matchup.
Then Lenny Fournette might take some snaps.
Yeah. He got moved back to the practice squad.
Oh, that was serious.
RB2 matchup, we've got Isaiah Pacheco versus the Dolphins and Tony Pollard.
Pacheco?
Isaiah Pacheco versus the Miami Dolphins and Tony Pollard versus the Green Bay Packers. I hate that I'm going with it, but I'm going with Tony Pollard.
I mean, Pacheco's going to dominate Miami.
Yeah, I agree.
Well, I think Pacheco is right at that prime age for running back to do real well.
Come on, you can't bet against Twinkle Toes.
Can't bet against Twinkle Toes. Plus, Miami's not going to be ready for that weather. They're just not. And then I think Tony Pollard's going to trip and fall on his face because it's playoffs and he's a Cowboy.
You're really betting hard against those Cowboys.
I couldn't agree with you more, Jordan. I think Pacheco is going to be the workhorse back. He's going to be the guy who they're going to hand the rock off to, and Miami's going to be pretty much frozen. So I think that's just it. I think he's gonna have a dominant game, and Tony Pollard is going to be going against Green Bay. It's gonna be kind of the same thing. I feel like Tony Pollard's gonna end up just having the ball thrown over his head to CeeDee Lamb. That's really it.
Yeah. Moving into our last running back matchup, we have Kyron Williams versus the Lions and Rachaad White versus the Eagles. I, again, hate that I'm doing this, but I am rooting against the Rams and I'm rooting for the Lions. So I have to go with Rachaad White, even though I think Kyron Williams is just too good. I just can't bet against the Lions. I got this shirt on. I got the Goff jersey in the background. I
guess you can't be objective.
I cannot. Unlike when it comes to the playoff Lions,
you are the worst better ever. You know that the main rule is don't bet for your fandom.
I know. Right? I know.
All right. Well, I'm going to take it up, and I'm going to choose the guy who I actually think is going to be better, and it's going to be Kyron Williams because again, he has been everything on that offense. He's pretty much good he's basically the closest comparison I have to Christian McCaffrey outside of Christian McCaffrey. He's a pass catcher. He runs the ball efficiently. He gets at least a touchdown every game. It's just mind numbing how good he's been out of a 5th round pick. And I am so excited to see where he goes next year. But this year, I think he's going to take me 1 point higher than you, Tyler, on Duel of the Fools.
I got to agree with what Mike said. I'm not comparing him to Christian McCaffrey after one season. But yeah, I see you're going to score a lot of touchdowns consistently this season. I almost chose him in our trifecta as my consistent because he's just been so awesome, and he's pretty much that offense.
I totally agree. And the thing is here's the thing. I'm sorry, go Tyler.
I was just going to say, I think he's been in all of our consistents.
That's what I was actually just about to say. He's been a consistent for literally all of us. He's consistently our consistent. That's how you know he's so consistent.
And I don't mean
that good.
Yeah, he has been that good. And I'll take it back. He hasn't been the whole offense. Puka Nacua has been amazing this season too.
And Cooper Kupp hasn't been bad. We're kind of talking bad on Cooper
Tyler,
Kupp.
It's not looking good for the Lions. The more I think about it.
Let's just cross that.
I chose Rams. You all heard it here. I chose Rams.
Stafford isn't. They'll throw in Carson.
I mean, guess what? He still ran the ball a lot himself, so that's fine. But you know what? I think, and I just want to clarify this, Jordan, real quick. So I don't want to say that Kyron Williams is Christian McCaffrey. That's not what I'm saying. I say he plays a style like Christian McCaffrey. He is basically Christian McCaffrey in this sense of capacity. That's what I mean.
Okay.
But let's move on to the rest because we don't want to take up too much time on Duel of the Fools here. So now we get to go to the fun wide receiver positions. We got A.J. Brown against Tampa or CeeDee Lamb against Dallas. Now, I personally chose CeeDee Lamb. I think CeeDee Lamb and Dak are going to combine again against Green Bay to be basically just running all over, and I just don't know if I see it for A.J. Brown in that one.
Yeah, I will also went CeeDee Lamb. Jordan, you're betting you're putting all your chips against the Cowboys. I chose CeeDee Lamb too.
Fun fact, awesome. I don't know if you knew this about the Dallas Cowboys, but their team logo, it's actually a team rating. 1 out of 5 stars.
1 star.
All right. Well.
I like that. Well, here we go. So we have our two. So we have basically Tyler and I with CD and Jordan sticking with AJ Brown. Good for
Let's
you.
Let's go, AJ Brown. I never thought I'd say that when he joined the Eagles.
Fan rooting for an Eagle. Let's just note that down. Okay, so move.
It's tough. I think that Tampa Bay's defense is not that great. I mean, I'm sorry. They did shut down the Panthers.
They did. They shut down.
Yeah, it was a shutout, Jordan.
It was a shutout. Okay. But
I do want to say, Jordan, you are onto something. I think that Tampa Bay, they have a good run defense, but I don't think they have a very, very
they have a shoddy,
defense.
And then on the other side, you've got Green Bay, who has Jair Alexander going up against CeeDee Lamb, who's very good.
I mean, we'll see. I still put my money in CeeDee. So Tyler and I are with CeeDee. Jordan is the Giants fan rooting for the Eagles. Moving on, we have Amari Cooper against Houston versus Mike Evans against Philadelphia. I chose Mike Evans because I think Philadelphia has given up a lot of points and a lot of yards recently. But I just think that I think there's no other receiver in Tampa. They haven't been throwing to Godwin all that much, even though it has picked up lately. Baker's going to sling it to Evans.
I also went with Mike Evans.
Honestly, for me, this one was definitely tough. Mike Evans, he's going to ball out. I know the secondary and the Eagles hasn't played that great the past few weeks. But for me, that last week that Amari Cooper was healthy, when he put up 45.1 fantasy points with Joe Flacco, like I think just him and Joe Flacco are cooking. They're on the same page. I think Amari Cooper's going to put up more.
I do just want to say this, though. I mean, Mike Evans, actually the past 5 weeks, has only one game over 5 receptions. So I might be putting myself out there, but I do think he's going to at least turn it around.
I did my homework.
Wide receiver 3 combo of the week. We got Amon-Ra St. Brown against the Los Angeles Rams versus Stephon Diggs for Pitt. I mean, Amon-Ra, I literally don't think I could ever root against. He's just lying. He's literally talk about a top locked in for me, top first round pick next year. Amon-Ra.
Amon-Ra.
And looks like we all picked Amon-Ra again.
Oh, I'm sorry. We did. We all picked Amon-Ra. Okay, so we all agree. So moving on. We don't have to waste time. All right, our final segment, and it's the only tight end set of the week. We got Dalton Schultz with Houston versus Cleveland, and against Dallas Goedert against Tampa Bay. I personally chose Dalton Schultz. I think.
Yep, me too.
I'm putting my money on the rookie. I absolutely love C.J. Stroud. I think what he's doing is next level. He's looked absolutely fantastic, and I'm hoping he's going to throw the rock to Schultz.
Yep, I also went Schultz.
I went with Dallas Goedert. I don't know why. I had a feeling that, they're going to shut down the run game, Tampa Bay, but Jalen Hurts is going to sneak out and make some nice short passes.
We'll see. But that does wrap up our Duel of the Fools segment. Let's see who wins the postseason.
Yeah, can't wait. Going to be some great matchups this weekend. Looking forward to wild card weekend, wild card football, and looking forward to that Lions victory. But anyway, thanks for joining us. Thanks for listening in to episode 8 of the Fantasy Fools podcast. Give us a like, give us a subscribe. You can find us at YouTube at Fantasy Fools Pod. That's FOOLZ. You can also give us a follow on Spotify, Fantasy Fools podcast. But thanks for tuning in and looking forward to seeing you next week. All right, everyone. You guys take care and put some money on those wild card weekend matches.